So welcome to the next of our DermCoder training video series. This video is going to cover our modifier checking tools that are built into DermCoder. Now, modifier checking is accessed through our QuickCheck feature, which is the most frequently used part of DermCoder. And since it's the most frequently used part, we have placed a shortcut in the upper right corner on the grayish tabs, right in between DermCoder and ICD-10. You can also access QuickCheck by clicking the middle Correct Coding Initiative blue tab and the first long blue button. But regardless of which option you choose, it'll take you to this same screen. So this screen is divided up into a grid of rows and columns. The user entry is done underneath the very first column where it says codes. And to enter codes in here, you simply take your mouse, put your cursor in there, and now you can actually take your hands off the keyboard, enter CPT codes, and hit tab on your keyboard to go to the next box, and tab and go to the next box and enter and tab and enter and tab. And when you're ready to initiate a search, you can simply hit the enter key on your keyboard, or you can click this quick check button. So let's do it a very, very simple example. We're going to do 17110, 17000, and 17003 and click the enter key on my keyboard. All I was doing is clicking this first box, typing a code, hitting tab, type tab, and now I'm going to hit enter. It'll search through the modifiers, and you'll see that 17,000, 17,003 are bundled according to the correct coding initiative. And if they're on separate and distinct lesions, require modifier 59 or XS if you're using the new X modifiers. Now, if we wanted to add an additional code to this, for example, we're going to add a 99213. We could then click enter, or we could click the quick check button. It'll simply add that to the code mix. And now that we have a 99213, assuming that it is a separately identifiable E&M service above and beyond the E&M related to what was needed for the destruction and these AK codes here, you would put modifier 25 on here. We also have a column here that says modifier 51. This is for the multiple surgery reduction rule. There is an asterisk there. If you click the show disclaimers and rules button, it talks about modifier 51, which is added for informational purposes only, and you don't necessarily need to add 51 on your claims unless you have a specific carrier that requires you to add 51 yourself on the claims. Of course, this particular example, we have modifier 25 on the E&M visit and 59 or XS on these procedures. If you were in a post-operative period, you can click this very first checkbox and then click the quick entry or the quick check box here as well. It'll show you where your post-op modifiers. If you're ready to do a new search, you simply hit clear and you can start all over again. Now, we added a new feature called quick entry within the last 6 months. This allows you to do a bulk entry of more than one CPT code at a time. So let's say we're going to click this quick entry box, and I have a billing software program that allows me to copy a list of codes. I can simply do a Control C to copy, go back into DermCoder, hit Control V to paste, and then click the quick check these, and it automatically dumps them into the screen. Alternatively, I could do a list of codes separated by commas. So I'm going to copy these from whatever program I had them in before, go to my quick entry, paste them in there as a string separated by commas, and click quick check, and it automatically will populate them in there as well too. Again, if I'm in a post-operative period, I can click that checkbox. Hit the quick check button again, and your post-op modifiers will appear. The second checkbox here says carrier requires modifier 25 on new patient visits. Medicare, or CMS, officially doesn't need modifier 25 when it is billed on 99201 to 99205, or the new patient codes. Some of the carriers actually require modifier 25 when they're billed with new patient codes. So if you know you have a carrier that requires it, you can check it. You can uncheck it on the fly on a case-by-case basis. The third box says carrier bundles add-on codes with primary. This particular example, 17,000 is bundled with the 11100 according to the correct coding initiative. And we know that modifier 59 is needed on the 17,000. Because I have this bundles add-on code with primary checked, it's also adding modifier 59 on the add-on code, the 17,003. Medicare normally doesn't require it on add-on codes. Some commercials do, some commercials don't. You can turn it on or off on a case-by-case basis. The last thing that we have is rank codes according to optimum payment rules. This is defaulted to on. We recommend you leave it on. What this does is it puts the codes in order by listing the E&M services first. It'll put your surgical services in descending value from highest to lowest next. It'll put any pathology services after that. Finally, your injection services and J codes last. The reason that this is important to do is that some carriers, when they're doing multiple surgery reductions, in this case we know 11100 and 17,000 are going to be reduced by 50% according to the multiple surgery reduction rule, most of the carriers know which codes to pay at 100% and which to pay at 50% automatically. There are a few carriers that'll do it based upon the order that you put them on the claim. So by having that checkbox, the last checkbox here, rank codes checked, it will make sure that it puts them in the proper order to reduce any chances of improper reductions happening. You can change these options to be defaulted on or off by clicking this user options button here. Then we go to users and we can turn some of these on or off permanently. So we're going to go back to QuickCheck. I want to show you something else that it can do. We're going to do a quick entry again real quick, copy and paste our codes. Hit a quick check these, it'll populate. Now, if you do something wrong, for example, I add 17,004 here with my 17,000 by mistake, and I go ahead and hit quick check, it'll flag you at the top stating that you cannot bill 17,004 and 17,000 together. So I realize I made a mistake. I'm going to go ahead and change that back to 17,003 like it was before. Another common mistake is putting codes on separate lines that should ordinarily be billed in units. We know 88305 should be billed in units and not on separate lines. So if I accidentally enter it twice and do my quick check modifier checking, it warns me that 88305 should be billed in units instead of on separate lines. I want to initiate a new search. I'm going to hit clear. We also have some special edits and special bundles by some specific carriers in here. We know that 69100, which is an ear-specific biopsy, and a 11100. If you bill them with Medicare, there is no modifier required. However, United Healthcare, we know, has a special bundling edit logic in their system that will automatically deny the site-specific with a general biopsy code together. So this is an alert at the top telling you that these will be bundled according to United Healthcare and that you need to put modifier 59 or XS on the 11100. There's often times where you're questioning why modifier 59, which is the bundling modifier for the correct coding initiative, appears in this column, and you want to do a little bit of research like what code is bundled with that. So you can actually go to the individual CCI edits button there on the right side of the quick check screen and look up a particular code. So if I wanted to see everything that was bundled with 17,000, I can hit the search codes here and put 17,000 and then click the Go button, and it's going to search for all possible combinations within the correct coding initiative listing where 17,000 is bundled. In this particular case, whatever code is in column 2 is the bundled code, and it's the code that gets modifier 59 or XS. We saw in our previous example where we had built 17,000 with a 11100, there was a modifier 59 added on the 11100. If I want to do a new search, I can just put the code in here. We have our new and deleted edits by date and quarter and code listed on these screens as well by clicking the new and deleted edits button. If we go back to the Quick Check tab in the upper right corner, another feature that I want to show you here, we're going to go ahead and do our quick entry, populate the screen here. I'm going to add a Mohs code to this, 17311, for purposes of this example. Once I do my modifier checking, Mohs reshuffles itself to the top of the list of surgical procedures because we have this rank code button checked. And we'll see this rightmost column here has yes in the LCD column. This means that 17311 or the Mohs code has an LCD policy available for it. So I can click this yes button here and it'll take us to the screen that we saw in one of our previous training videos. I can click the little box with the arrow here. It'll take us to CMS's version of their LCD, or I can click the Go button here, and it'll take us to DermCoder's pared down, narrowed down version of the LCD. I'm going to go back into the Quick Check feature here. I want to show you One more feature, this show disclaimers and rules at the bottom. We highly recommend that all of our users read this. Most importantly, the article about billing modifier 25. It's the third paragraph, modifier 25. This is about billing E&M services with minor surgical procedures, codes with 0 and 10 post-op days. Click this more info article here, and it'll take you to a very good article we have written about billing E&M services with minor surgical procedures, with citations and references is everything from the AAD to CMS and the National Correct Coding Initiative policies. It's all contained within that article. So I'm going to go back to the DermCoder screen here. I'm going to jump into QuickCheck, and I want to show you one other neat hidden feature. Let's say we're going to do 69100, a 99213, 88305, and hit enter. There's a neat little hidden gem or a hidden trick or Easter egg, you might call it, within the QuickCheck screen. If I put my cursor over one of these codes, click it, click outside of the box, and then put my cursor back over it, you'll see you have some fee and coding rule information that pops up for that code. So again, I'm going to go over here, click the 69100, click out of it, and now hover my mouse over it, and all the information about billing 69100 appears on the screen as well too. So that's it for this training video. If you need help about finding specific modifier information, you can go to the DermCoder tab in the upper right corner, click the Coding, Billing, and Rules blue tab, which is the fourth one, and then click the Modifiers button, and you can find out some information. If you forgot what Modifier 79 was for, you can click 79 and go, and it'll give you the information about an unrelated procedure in a post-op period. Or if you knew that there was an evaluation and management modifier, you weren't sure what it was, you can click evaluation and management, and there are actually 6 modifiers that have that term within the definition, and you can navigate through them with the arrows. So that's it for this training video. Be sure to watch the rest of our training videos to make sure you're getting the most out of using DermCoder.